Okay. So I restarted. So I have an address now, I guess, if it actually came through. Yes, it did. Okay. So it is in Taylor's. Okay. Now things are all making sense. I knew I didn't have all the information. And funny enough, this was actually an office that belongs to this guy, the address that I've got for it. So that's a hoot. That's a first. A farm with an office in town. I'm sure this guy does other stuff. Yeah, so anyway, that's pretty interesting. Sounds like a nice guy. Bob Evans Farms. If I see a Bob Evans, I'm stopping and buying breakfast, guys. I'm just going to do it if I see one. There might be one in Greenville, I don't know. But I'm going to eat before I leave Greenville, and I'm going to head home. I got to decide what my route going home is going to be. I'm not really sure what it's going to be. We'll find out. So I'm going to be crossing into South Carolina. Finally, I thought I already did, but I'm going to be crossing into it here in 3 miles. So. This is my last state line I got to cross before I get this thing delivered. I keep expecting to come off the edge of this big escarpment and drop down into the coastal plain, but it hasn't happened yet, so I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't happen on this side. It does if you're going over the other side toward the coast, but maybe that's just not how it is here. Thought it would be, but I've lost a lot of elevation too, though, in the last 20 miles. I'm just dropping and dropping and dropping now. So maybe it's just a gentler drop. You go off the other side of it out toward the coast, and you get up to the edge of it, and it's like looking off over the whole world. You can see you can almost see the sea when you come off of there. North Pacolet River, Pacolet, don't know. Can't see down in there. These rivers are deep down in valleys, so these little bridges, they're deceptive. It looks like a little bridge, but there might be 100-foot or 200-foot drop underneath it before you get down to the river. It's kind of interesting. So evidently this guy's got goats, so I'm going to be seeing some goats. So we'll see how that goes. Goats. Yeah. Something like. Alright, I've got to make at least one more. Oh, I need to change the address I'm heading to too. Need to do that. Address. Welcome to South Carolina. Yay. 304. Be careful here, all this crap in the road. Easy peasy. I think it wanted me to take that exit. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. All right. Settings. Vehicle. Oh, for crying out loud. Profile. Okay. Where's it wanting me to go? Let's see, recent, go. Okay. All right, so it's wanting me to get the hell off this road. It's what it's wanting me to do. Welcome Center. It's 2.5 miles up here. It's wanting me to take off. So this must be like up above Greenville or over on the other side where I don't need to be going around the eastern edge of it. So it's sending me back to the west, which is good. I'm glad I got the information when I did. I wish I'd had it a second sooner and I would have had the right exit back there. But evidently this will work just as well. South Carolina 11. That's what I'm wanting. It's good. It's actually a highway. It's not a county road. So this guy actually seems excited about getting this thing, which is good. I'm glad. I told him about the deal with the light falling off. He's cool. I saw that one too. I just didn't get out of the way in time. Damn it. So I got 26 more miles to go. Cowpens Battlefield. I guess I am in the heart of Civil War country now. Hard to imagine they fought a war in this terrain, isn't it? Insane that we had a war to begin with, but last 25 miles of this delivery. This is good. I'm liking this. I'm gonna wait for this truck because he's barreling. Damn. Get the feeling he would have run right over the top of me. Pretty sure he would have. Well, this is a highway, but it's a skinny little rough one. I'm not too surprised, though. Deer. Those look like wild blackberries blooming on the side of the road. Strawberries, apples, Red Hill Orchard. Oh man. If I see someplace down here, once I get rid of this trailer that has fresh strawberries, I'm going to be stopping and get me some strawberries. Maybe. I don't know. I better not do that because I have to spend my cash. I don't have much cash with me. I'm kind of conserving it for yard sales on the way home. So, get some more stuff to sell on eBay, you know. Hey, you got to make it however you can in this world, I guess. It seems to be. It's an odd place to have a 40 miles an hour speed limit. Oh. Very tough to slow it down to that. Coming down that hill. South Pacolet River. Or Pacolet. Guess it depends on who's pronouncing it. A Ferner or a South Carolinian. One of the two. I'm a Ferner. I'm not a South Carolinian. I did have people in this country 150 years ago. And in North Carolina too. We came through Buncombe County, North Carolina, which is where a lot of the oldest ancestors I had in this country, some of them were born in Buncombe County. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Others were born in Virginia. And of course, others were born elsewhere. So we had the curiosity to have our DNA done. Myself, my brother, and my older sister. We've all had ours done. And it's interesting because we are varying degrees of similar makeup, but we've got slightly different makeup to us. Guess this is the way to go. Gosh, that was clear as mud. And you know, we're all from the same parents. There's 5 of us actually. One adopted, the rest of us all from the same parents. But the 3 of us who tested are not the adopted one. And our genetic makeup is similar in ways and very different in ways. It's kind of interesting. But it's like I'm more Western European and Swedish and German and Scottish, and like a very minute percentage Senegalese. So I guess that's what you would say, from Senegal in Africa. And that came down on my mother's side, which lends credence to my grandpa calling himself Black Irish, because there is Irish and there was some black in there too, obviously. And so at some point, somebody from Africa intermarried into the family, or interbred into the family anyway. Don't know about the details, obviously. And I don't know how many generations back that would have to be, but it was probably a long way because it's not a whole lot. But it's interesting, you know, so... but I've got more of that than my sister, about even with my brother. But my brother's got more Scottish and more Irish maybe than I do. It's just varying degrees, varying percentages of the different stuff that we're all made up of. It's just kind of cool because, you know, you inherit 50% of your DNA from each parent, but you don't inherit the same 50% exactly that your siblings inherit. It's a kind of a random deal. You know, you might get a little more of the Scottish or a little more of the Senegalese. They might get a little more of the Eastern or the Western European and a little bit more of the, you know, Iberian Peninsula or whatever. So it's just interesting. So I was kind of thinking about that. Now, how did somebody from Senegal get to where they actually bred with somebody who was mostly Irish, you know, Scotch, Irish, English? And that's my grandpa's family was mostly Scotch, Irish, and English. So mostly English and not too much Scotch on that side. But I've got more Scot on my dad's side, but mostly the English. And I got to reading about this, and I'd read about it years ago, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. But I guess back in the day in Ireland, off the coast of Ireland, and other countries too, they would occasionally be raided by people from different places that would come over the sea. And then some of them would, you know, some of them would rape and pillage, they would fight or whatever. And then some of them would decide to stay and then, you know, stay there. So however it happened, at some point, however many generations back it would take to reduce that down to like 2%, which would be pretty far back, I would suspect. Somebody did manage to interject some African blood into my grandfather's bloodline. Very interesting. You know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and hear that whole story. You know, so I can imagine several scenarios. Now, interestingly enough, it was also on his side, it was on his side that there were slave owners in the South. But this predates that, I think. Oh, there's a strawberry place. Wish they had his trailer on. Let's stop and get some. Love fresh strawberries. Oh my God, they're so good. So anyway, I think this predates all that. So I don't think there was any hanky-panky with the, you know, that kind of deal. It would not make any sense because everybody is accounted for all down the line, and there would be no, if it would have happened during those days, it would have been most likely one of the white men with a black slave woman. And it couldn't have happened that way because we have all the females accounted for. So that doesn't make any sense in this scenario. So I think it's probably predates that by a long time, maybe a century or two. And it's probably from some, you know, coastal marauder type person, or pirate, if you want to say, who showed up on the coast of Ireland, where some of my ancestors were at, and for some reason interbred with them. So, you know, it's just interesting to think about how did this happen. But it also made me think about something else, which I pretty much always believed anyway, is that, you know, people are human beings, and we are a race of people. And all this racial bullshit that, you know, the politicians push to divide us, it's all smoke and mirrors, because, you know, it's just like a dog or a horse or a cat or any other mammal. We are a species, you know. and we are a race. It's like the human race. So to me, to be racist is just, it's pointless, it's stupid, because we're all made up of everything, because we're all related. You know, you don't have to look too far to figure out that you're related to all kinds of people, you know. If you're into genealogy and getting your DNA tested and all that, do that and put it up on Ancestry or 23andMe and look at all the people you're blood related to. I can guarantee you a lot of them are not going to look like you. You know, we are the melting pot of humanity. So when I see people say, well, you know, this person or that person because of their color is this or that, it's like bullshit. That is just a lie. It's nothing but a lie. It's just a way to make people mad at other people so that politicians can pull a bunch of shady shit while everybody's sitting around mad pointing their fingers at each other, when it's the politicians we need to be pointing at. That's who's causing all this discord and discontent. Politicians and globalists and that own the politicians. That's where all of this shit comes from. And it is shit. I'm using that word for a purpose because racism is shit. It's bullshit. So, you know, don't let anybody tell you that anybody is more or less than you because of the color of your and their skin. That's bullshit. It's a lie. It's just like saying, and you know, forgive me for using dogs as an example, but everybody's seen dogs of all colors. It's just as true as saying that a black dog is no better than a white dog, or a brown dog is no better than a black dog, or a white dog is no better than a brown dog or a black dog or whatever. There's no difference. It's still a dog. It's the same thing with people. We are human beings. End of story. It doesn't matter what color our fur is, okay? If you want to think about it in you know, those terms. A dog can be any color. Its skin can be any color. But we don't value or devalue a dog or a horse or a cow or any other critter, a cat, rat, whatever, by the color of their skin or their fur. It's just not important. The only time that becomes important is if you are a breeder of some purebred puppy or horse or cow or whatever. Then you want a specific color combination, but it's not because one is superior to the other. It's because one is the conformity to the breed. But I think that with human beings, we confuse the breed with the race. There are different breeds of humans. I mean, it's very obvious. There are several different breeds of humans, you know. There are, you know, like most white people, Caucasian. There are black humans, Africans, and other areas in that region. There are brown humans. So these are more, in my mind, this is more of a breed differential than a race differential, because we're all the same race. Doesn't make them any less all connected, you know, because if you think about it, all dogs came from the wolf, you know, or most dogs came from the wolf. I expect some came from other dogs on other continents, you know, that don't have wolves or whatever, but all modern dogs, most of them came from wolves. But they're still dogs, you know. There's still a wolf inside. There's a little bit of wolf in there left, even though the breed has been, you know, selectively bred for certain traits. It's still a dog, still a wolf in there. Because a dog, if it's not trained and taught, if it's just left to the wild, like a wild pack of dogs, Why do you think we have that saying, like a wild pack of dogs? Because a wild pack of dogs is what? It's a pack of wolves. Same difference. They act the same way because they're being true to their nature. Well, we're humans. We're all true to our nature. We act like humans. Whatever our color is, we still act like humans. So all this stuff about racism and this and that and everything, all that is, it's a false argument intended to divide and conquer. That's what it's for. That's the usefulness of it, and that's why the left whipped it back out when Obama became president and started beating everybody over the head with it, trying to get everybody worked up and get people to hate each other. And they did that now they've done that since, what, 2008? And by golly, look at the world today. 15 years later, 16 years later, and it worked. People are mad because they've been taught that racism is inherent in our society, and it's not. It never really has been. It's a useful tool for people who want to control other people, and they use it liberally. That's the best way I can tell you. It's really crappy that they do that to us, and they do it intentionally, knowing full well what it causes people, what kind of misery it causes doing that, and hate and fighting and people getting injured and people getting killed. They don't care because they're using it as a tool so that they can distract us long enough so that they can strip us of our freedoms and control us. And they've done a really damn good job of it, actually, because look at where we're at now compared to when I was a kid. The world was a hell of a lot freer in the 1970s than it is today. Vastly freer. Way freer. And not just because of technology either, but technology brings its own kind of dangers along with it, really. Technology has enslaved us to the degree that, I don't go anywhere without my cell phone. I very rarely, if it's a work day, I don't even go into the bathroom without my cell phone. I bring it in and set it up on the shelf, so if I get a text, I know it. If I got to go to work. So back in the 70s, the 60s and 70s, when I was a kid, there was one telephone in the house, and it was usually hanging on the kitchen wall. Some people were fancy. They had a desk phone in another room or whatever. But we had a wall phone hanging up in the kitchen, and you didn't have private conversations. You had conversations right there in the kitchen, It was like right there with Mama standing there listening to everything you said. And that was how we grew up. Not to mention that, but we had a party line too. But the point is, when we left the house, there was no phone to call us. We didn't have a phone. If you had to make a phone call in an emergency while you're out away from the house, you better have a dime in your pocket to call on a payphone. That was in the 60s. It went up in the 70s, late 70s, it went up to a quarter. So, at that point, you better have a quarter in your pocket if you need to call somebody for an emergency. But now we're pretty much pinned down. They know where we're at. Everybody knows where everybody is because our cell phones are little tattletales because they ping off all these towers. It's like you can't really escape it unless you just refuse to participate in modern technology. And if you do, some people, I guess, do. I don't know very many of them. Even my mother had a cell phone, and she was 90 years old. She didn't use it, but she wanted it, and she thought she would use it, but she forgot to take it with her, so it didn't do her any good. But she had it. It was a thing. Getting into some squinchy little roads here. I've got 9 miles to go on these little squinchy roads. I got to turn up here in 3.5 more miles. we were much freer anyway. I mean, there were a lot of ways we were more free than we are now. We didn't have to be strip searched to get on an airplane, for one thing. That's kind of a new deal. You know, it's relatively new. It came into being after 9/11, of course, the Patriot Act and all that. So they stripped us of a bunch of our rights with the Patriot Act. Used to be the money in your bank account was your own personal business, and after the Patriot Act, you had to have all your numbers right. They had to have a social security number or some kind of a number attached to your bank account so they can take tax money out of your account if they feel like they need to do that. That's what that's for. The bank now has to report if you take so much out, I forget how much it all is and everything, but if you take out more than X amount of dollars or deposit more than X amount of dollars in a short period of time, they report that to the federal government. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that they've infringed on our privacy terribly with the Patriot Act. And, you know, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Now you have to have a smart ID to get on, I think, an airplane or to go onto a military base. So if you don't have a smart ID, you're kind of screwed if you want to do either of those things. I don't have a smart ID. I don't need one. I don't want one. I don't fly, for one thing. And, you know, I know how to drive myself around, so I don't have to fly. And that's a pretty lake over yonder. Try and get you a little view of it. It's really pretty through here. It's just little squinchy back roads. I'm just taking it real easy because I don't want to bang this trailer on anything, especially somebody's car. You know, guardrail, somebody's car, none of that. Fine for littering, up to $1,000, and prison. South Tiger River, William Few Bridge. It's pretty down in here. Very pretty. Okay. I got 8 more miles to go. This is a hell of a delivery. This is kind of typical for my farm deliveries in this part of the country. They're always way in the hell on some back road, and it's always some trick getting in, and you know, you got to know this and got to know that, and I'm supposed to. This one, it sounds like it's almost on a golf course, but it sounds like a mini farm community or something because the guy's got goats. So I think it's going to be like a hobby farm situation, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Oh my goodness, these roads. Thought she was going to roll right on down and hit me, but she didn't. So, I mean, just a lot of the freedom I had as a kid is just gone. The kids now will never know what it's like to go outside in the morning, 7 or 8 o'clock on a summer morning, and go play outside all day and not come in until, you know, you got to come in and eat something, or until the mosquitoes start biting after the sun goes down at night or whatever. You know, I mean, we would go out and play all day long. We'd come in and eat some lunch, and then we'd go out and play all afternoon long, and we'd do all kinds of stuff. I mean, we'd go out and put the lawn sprinkler on if it was hot out, and put on our swimsuits and go run around through the sprinkler and play out there. We'd go on hikes, you know, on the back 40 or just wherever. We'd take off and go play with friends all day. You know, our parents didn't obsess over where we were every second, and they didn't hover over us trying to, you know, turn us into something to suit them or whatever. I mean, frankly, I was the second kid of 5 in my brother right behind me is a year and a half younger, and I've got a sister that's 4 years younger. So my mom had babies to look out for when I was still real little. So I really didn't get hovered over or catered too much. I mostly got kind of ignored, to be honest. You know, there was always a baby that mom was taking care of, so it was like I just figured out how to do stuff. You know, she showed me how to do some stuff, and then I figured out how to do other stuff. And there's nothing at all wrong with any of that. You know, I think it made me a more independent person. I'm definitely extremely independent. Not that you would notice, right? You know, I have women ask me all the time. It's really funny. Even some men. You do that by yourself? You travel all over by yourself? I'm like, well, yeah. I don't think about it as being an odd thing, but I guess it kind of is an odd thing in a world where, you know, women aren't always independent and don't always go, you know, go do their own thing. So I don't know, it's just one of those deals. But you know, I didn't have a helicopter parent, thank God. I'm so glad that my mom wasn't one of them nervous hovering women. That would have driven me crazy, because I liked exploring. I liked going out and playing and getting in the irrigation ditch and catching snakes and climbing trees and everything, you know. Then when I had to play in the house, if I was forced to, I, you know, play with dolls or whatever, just figure out some kind of game to play in the house or some toy to play with. We'd build model rockets and model airplanes, and just, I mean, we had a lot of fun when we were kids. And we lived in the country. But when we went and visited Grandpa, my mom's dad, we went to Denver to visit, well, Golden actually. He lived in Golden. So we would go up there and visit, and then we got our taste of city life there. You know, we got a little taste of that. And our city cousins they could be pretty naughty sometimes. They taught us how to do some naughty stuff that we didn't know. And then when they'd come and visit us in the country, we'd teach them naughty stuff that we knew that they never thought of, you know. Like we'd do stuff like get them to touch an electric wire fence, or to pee on an electric wire fence was even better. You know, get the boys to do that. That was a popular trick. That, and then if it was, you know, around 4th of July and people had them, if you had any black cat fireworks, you could always stick one of those in a 2 or 3 day old cow pie strategically, you know, and then it would blow up as your city cousin was walking past it. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff. We had fun. But I don't know, you know, kids now, it's kids do what they do, you know, and what's available to them now is a lot of electronic games, cell phones. I cringe when I see little babies carrying cell phones. You know, their grandmas and their mamas stick a cell phone in their hand to keep them occupied. And I cringe because that's all they're going to know. You know, they're not going to have the imaginations that we had, I don't think. I think it's going to be different for them. And it's sad, you know. I think we were really super lucky to have the time, to live in the time that we did. Of course, now these kids they'll look back on their childhood and probably think it's great too, and be like, oh, we had such fun with those old cell phones, and, you know, I'm sure they'll probably look at it the same way. I think it's human nature, and, you know, human nostalgia is probably kind of a deal. But, okay, that looks like azaleas maybe. Look at those. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I think those are azaleas, yeah. South Carolina is famous for their azaleas, and you can see why. Isn't that awesome? So beautiful. So I have really not too much idea of how much further I'm going in here. What I'll probably do is edit this out so that you don't see the person's actual property. I think that's probably a violation of their privacy, one that I don't want to inflict on them. Or I might show you snippets of it, but nothing identifiable, you know, that kind of thing. I don't think you'd want me coming on your place and putting it up on on YouTube. Probably not. Probably not. Boy, this is back in the sticks here, I'll tell you. My gosh. Inori River. Vehicles popping out all over the place here. This is not a highway, this is just a street, evidently, or a road. That's why it's so little and skinny, squinchy, I like to say. Look at these tall, tall trees over here. Look at that. Crazy tall pine trees. It's as straight as they can be and super tall. Pretty neat. So I got 2 more miles on this road. $15. Okay, I'm good. There's a bridge limit up ahead, but I'm way under 15 tons, so we're good. You always got to pay attention to those signs if you're driving anything commercial, because there are hefty fines for crossing a bridge that's weight limited. Obviously, because it causes damage to the bridge potentially, and that pisses people off for some reason. I don't know why, right? Man, I've got, the allergies are going. Probably all kinds of pollen in the air. I noticed a yellow coat of pollen on this truck just from sitting. So there's probably quite a bit of it floating around, and I'm feeling it. This is taking forever to get in here, but it's 11:22, so I'm actually ahead of what I had anticipated. I figured I'd get it delivered by noon, and I'm considerably ahead of that because I'm only 2 miles away from the place. So, yay. There's a snowball bush. That white bush back there that had like white flowers that look like snowballs. It's a snowball bush. That's really what it's called. We had one of those in the yard when I was a kid. We had peonies too. That's something you don't see much anymore, but peonies are beautiful flowers. Okay, I've got 1 more mile to go on this road. So I knew that address in Greenville was not where he really would want that trailer. And it turns out I was right. That's just a business address, not a delivery address. Okay, so I'm 1.5 miles away. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this here when I do my editing so as to preserve this person's privacy, but I'm not gonna turn off the camera. There's a magnolia tree right there. Magnolia, big old magnolia. This might be fun to get across. Geez, I can't even see the other direction. Okay. That's terrifying. I didn't know if that guy was going to hit us or what. All right. So I'll be cutting the film here. This is the last thing you guys will see. I'll catch up with you when I get done making this delivery. Okay, so this was a bear getting out through this gate. I'm surprised it fit, but it did, thank God. I'm gonna back up and show you this again, because I turned in here with a 25-foot truck with a 26-foot trailer on the back of it. I turned from that, let me zoom this out, I turned into that gate and turned right into here where I'm sitting and hauled it into the back of the property. This was probably the tightest turn I've had to do. The only reason I could do it is because it was a gooseneck. That made all the difference. I had to get between these two squinchy little posts. And look how tight this is right here. I mean, there's no room because there's like a little cul-de-sac here. So I didn't even have the advantage of making a wide turn. I'll come around here and turn around and show you. I didn't even have that advantage of being able to turn wide to go straight in that gate. I had to go in at an angle, which was, he's done it before, so he knew it could be done. But man, it made me a little nervous. I got it in there and I didn't hit anything, so, you know, little things that happen. I'll show you a better view of this right here. See the gate? Let's see. I gotta scoot this up so I can see. I can't see my damn. Okay, there's a gate open over there, and you should be able to see. I don't know if you can or not. I can't see this thing well enough to see. Anyway, there's a center median that I was constrained by. I could not make that left hand swoop out to turn in that gate straight. I had to go in at an angle and slide that long trailer through it. It was lots of fun. And then make an acute angle turn back on up. There's the goats. Okay. So there's the goats. Goats and goats. So that was interesting. And I'll probably cut a little bit of this out too. God, these azaleas are just to die for. Oh my gosh. I don't know if y'all have ever been to South Carolina or not, but it's very floral. Try and get you adjusted here. Okay, so we're far out enough I can start over here. So I just delivered that trailer. The guy's happy. I don't know if my broker's happy because I didn't get a sign ticket, but he wasn't there. But he sent me a text. You are very welcome. Okay. All right, so we are good. Good. And now we're heading home. 1,074 miles home. So it's farther going home than it was. It's farther from here to Oklahoma than it was for me going from Missouri to here, which makes sense. How's this thing trying to send me? Greenville. Back up. I don't know if I want to go that way. Might be the most direct route though. I guess so. I guess I'm just gonna go with the flow here. Thought about taking the southern route. I need to stop and look at my atlas and decide which way I want to go. But in the meantime, I'm gonna find myself a cup of coffee. Not like that, I'm not. Like that, I am. Starbucks, mile and 6. Let's go. Start new route. I can get a cup of coffee and mull it over, see which way I want to go. So I know it's going to be 2 days getting home either way. So, you know, it's just how it is. Just how it is. Oh, it's beautiful out here. Everything's blooming. And it's giving me blooming allergies too. Things blooming and it's blooming me up. I feel good about that all the way around. It took me a while. I was so tired yesterday I couldn't hardly even think, about what to do about that light. And it was pretty obvious, you know, call the shipper, let them know, see if they can send him another one. Because they have access to those. They probably sell them right there in their store. And they can just package one up and ship it out for him. So he's aware of it. He won't get any weird surprises. They're aware of it, so they know they need to take care of it. And if they decide it's my fault, I guess they can dock me on the shipping or whatever, but that would be actually kind of chicken shit. I don't think they'll do that. So it was a manufacturing defect. The guy didn't install it correctly, or it would not have fallen out. I've never had a light fall out of a trailer frame, ever. All the time I've been doing this, and all the years I did it long ago, never heard of such a thing. So, yeah, kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Let's see, I don't think that's I think this is yeah, this is oh, cool. It's on the edge of a little convenience store. If I ever get a clear shot at getting through here, it's fucking traffic. I don't know how people can live in places like this. I really don't. Seriously, you jackass. You could have turned your light on and let me go. Jeez. Okay. Probably the guy behind me is probably like, go already, go. Well, I got a long truck. I don't want to just peel out in front of somebody and get hit either. All right, so, and it doesn't look like they got diesel here. I'll be buying diesel somewhere. Where is the Starbucks? It's right there. I'll be back. All these conveniences just kind of eat up a person's time. I'm going to change my shirt. This shirt is getting hot. It's hot today. It's 80 degrees out there. Diesel, $3.79. And I've got a quarter of a tank. What to do, what to do. Back here and change my shirt where nobody will give a shit. At least I don't think they will. Think not. Especially because I'll be back in this corner. I don't even think anybody will even notice me changing my shirt. Hopefully. Things I do, I swear. I kept my lightweight coffee get mic'd up here so you can hear me. Okay, so now we're on our way to Atlanta. I'm just on the eastern edge of Greenville, South Carolina. Just tootling through town here. We got to go right through the middle of town, basically, to get over here, to get on the highway that goes to Atlanta. I kind of wanted to take the southern route going back for a couple reasons. I'm sick of I-40, and even though I-30 is also a heavy trucking route, you know, I'll make do. I'll get over as far as Little Rock, and then or Benton, and then I'll cut over through Hot Springs and get off of it over there. But I mean, there's only a couple of ways to get across this country when you're going clear across. And unless you want to spend 3 or 4 days doing it, it's called the interstate. So there we have it. So anyway, I got that trailer delivered. The guy's happy. It worked out really good. I couldn't believe I got it in that little squinchy driveway in between those pillar posts things. That's like, if that had been my first trailer delivery job, I would have not gotten that through that gate, I'm pretty sure. Now that I've got several hundred or thousand trailers, whatever it is, now that I got many of them under my belt, it's like, okay, I can probably do this, maybe. I think I was actually recording when I took it through there, but right at the end there was kind of a thump. That was the trailer coming off of the concrete onto the guy's gravel driveway. That was not me hitting anything. That was the trailer bumping down off that. That's why it sounded like that. So I'm very glad that that's done. Now I can go home. And I got a couple bucks in my pocket. If I see a yard sale somewhere that looks promising, I'll probably stop. Because I do need more stock for eBay, for our eBay store. And I guess the camera I ordered to do my eBay pictures with, we had a camera just like it, but it died because the batteries deteriorated inside of it or whatever. So Bill checked this one and it's in good shape. It just doesn't have a memory card in it, so you can't test a picture because it doesn't have a memory card handy. I've got the memory cards. I've got one in my pocket, I think, or in my purse. It's in my purse, I think. And one in the camera. So I hogged up all the memory cards. He normally doesn't use them for anything, so it's usually not a deal. And he's probably not real worried about it right now. But City of Greenville. I don't think I've ever been in Greenville before. I think this is a new city for me. So I'm kind of taking a look at it here. Take a look at it with me, I guess, if you're so inclined. This is Greenville, South Carolina. As you can tell, it's full on summer here. It's very beautiful. All the trees are green. All the grass is green. The flowers are all blooming. The azaleas are blooming like mad. I've seen several that are just absolutely gorgeous. And so this is all pretty cool. I'm gonna put on my big sunglasses while I'm here because it started out cloudy this morning. And I guess I may hit rain on the way home because there was a strip of storms, rainstorms, going up from the Gulf and on up into Tennessee this morning, into western Tennessee. So I may hit that on the way home. But for now, it's really sunny out here, really bright. Okay, so how long are we going to have to sit at this stoplight? I am plumb tickled. My work is done for the week, and I had about a $2,700 or $3,700 week. I think. No, 27. Just under 3,000 gross. That's before expenses. Trying to keep my expenses down, so I've been staying at as cheap of motels as I can find, which that's under $100 is a cheap motel these days, and it's terrible that it's like that. It's ridiculous. You know, they charge $100 just lay down and sleep for 8 hours or whatever. It's crazy. But money doesn't mean anything anymore. It has no value because they've devalued our dollar to the point where it's just meaningless. So there, I said it. I've been thinking it for a long time now. I just flat out said it. So this is downtown Greenville up in front of us, I think. Probably. A few big buildings. I guess it's a pretty good sized city. I don't know. This we'll find out because I'm on the eastern side of it and we got to get clear across out the western edge. So I'll be getting up on the interstate here shortly, I'm pretty sure. Like in less than a mile, I think. 0.6 of a mile, yeah. So I don't know if this kind of turns into an interstate or if it just segues up to an interstate. We'll see. Find out here in about half a mile. Because in half a mile we get on US 29 South. So it's not an interstate, it's a highway. That's going to be it down there, I would say. Or maybe it just does go through the city. That's kind of cool because I kind of want to see it. Yeah. Yes, no, maybe. 29 South. Okay, I guess we're going to take the road, this road. Not go downtown. Might be better. Downtown might be hard to navigate in a big truck. I don't know. A big pickup anyway. Not like a giant freaking truck. But big enough. Big enough. Actually, it takes up about the same footprint as a semi-tractor. So, you know, it's not that much difference, you know, footprint-wise. Size-wise, yes, there's some difference, obviously. Really enjoying my Starbucks. And I know there may be some of y'all who are boycotting Starbucks. That's okay, but I can't get decaf coffee that's as good anywhere else. And even Scooters, which I've started stopping at when they're available, they're $1 higher for the same thing, and they're not really quite as good. I mean, they're good. They're not quite as, they're too sweet. They're a lot sweeter. So I'm not really crazy about their cafe mochas. No. Greenville, South Carolina. Who'd ever thought that I would end up here? I know, right? Who would ever think they're going to end up anywhere? You don't know. Yeah, don't have any idea until it happens. That's how it usually works. So I'm going to have to buy fuel at some point. I've got 200 miles worth of fuel. That may go up a little bit when my mileage goes back up. If I get out of city traffic and get out on the highway, my mileage should increase a little bit. It would be nice if it did. So I got 2.5 more miles of this crap before I can get on the interstate. Then I have to stop and think about, do I want to go clear to Atlanta? I guess I might, maybe.